Hello again, everyone. This is Cureton, senior journalist for XR Today, and we are bringing you the latest and greatest from the VR, AR, and XR industries. Today we have on a very, very special guest, an amazing director. He is the immersive lead and director and producer for This Is Bike Life, Mr. Alan Bucaria. And he has recently made this film using Canon's EOS VR systems. So it's a pleasure to have you on, Mr. Bucaria. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your career and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Alan Bucaria, director of photography, director. I've been working in VR since around 2014, back when it was just GoPros. I did a lot of projects with the Ozo, back when that was a thing, the Jaunt, and just kind of been along for the ride, for the VR ride. I am currently doing the NBA in VR for Meta. I did this Bike Life. I've done some feature films, and yeah.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here, and thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. So we'll talk a little bit about, the new film that you've made. This Is Bike Life. Before we get into that, we'd like to talk a little bit about the EOS VR system from Canon. So this is an amazing leapfrog in immersive technology. And how did this fisheye lens help you as a creator?
I mean, the lens is a game changer. It just makes everything incredibly easy. It has, just when you look at it, you know that it's something new and special. It's completely different. But basically what it does is the EOS system just removes all of the gack that we used to use in VR. So now we don't need sync cables. We don't need two cameras. We don't need a bunch of DITs and it just reduces the amount of people on set. It makes everything a lot easier. There's a full workflow from start to finish. It just makes everything much, much easier. And it just allows you to use a professional camera system like Canon to get the great color, to get amazing image quality, sharpness from edge of lens to center. It's just a beautiful, beautiful system. Before this lens was out, you would have to have these two systems. It would just create chaos on set because you didn't know if, you'd have to be synced to the system, or you'd have to be gen locked to the two cameras. It's just been it just makes everything much, much easier. And the image quality is much better. It just makes everything better.
That's good to hear. Very good to hear. I've seen a bit of the EOS VR system, and I know that it's supposed to basically just streamline the entire process, and it just makes it really easy for people to use it initially with a very short learning curve, and it kind of democratizes the entire VR filmmaking system. So I think it's the first on the market to actually be able to do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's incredible about it is that for the price point, you're getting 8K 60, which wasn't even possible a year ago. And now with this DSLR body, you're able to capture what you would normally capture with massive cinema cameras that cost, exponentially more. And it just, and like you said, it just makes it so much easier to use because you have this whole workflow. I mean, after you shoot your footage, you can just drop it into Premiere and it'll stitch it for you. Before, you would have to go through this whole thing about aligning your two images so that you have your vertical axis set, your horizontal, you're setting your convergence, you're doing all these things that you would have to go into PT GUI and create this UV map and then take that and process your footage. And it just became a whole process that would take a very long time. You needed big computers to process all the footage. You needed a lot of time and a lot of money, and you also just needed a lot of people on set to handle all of the equipment that you needed to do a VR shoot. So now with this camera system, you just you set it up, you hit record, you stop record, pull the card. You can on set, you can even preview your footage, which is incredible. And it's got a phone app. It's got it's got all the things that you would want, really. It's really, really easy to use. And it
Yeah,
just
brilliant
allows,
stuff.
yeah, the
Yeah,
nice thing
and
is it just allows like younger, like the new generation of filmmakers that, don't have like the budget for a huge production to, start experimenting with VR, which is awesome.
absolutely. Yeah, we're seeing more of these technologies get released as time goes on. And so I think
Mm.
that that's going to be very good for immersive filmmakers. So for
Yeah,
you,
definitely.
speaking on like This Is Bike Life, we talk a little bit about the wheelie crew. So these are the guys that were shot in the film, and they had some amazing stunts and things that they did. What could you tell me about their reaction to the quality of the footage and the camera itself?
Oh yeah, they were just awesome. They're such a cool group of people. They were really excited about what we're doing. As soon as we kind of, we showed them, we had headsets on set, and they were really into the idea of what we were doing. And the really cool thing about shooting in 8K is that you get to see like the person's face. And this was something that in like 8K stereo in VR, when you see somebody standing in front of you, looking into the lens, you really have this connection with them. It really feels like you're there with them, and creating these portraits of their daily life, as their bike life was. They definitely understood what we were trying to do, and it definitely translated. As soon as they looked at what we were doing, they were like, "Oh yeah, this is awesome! Like this is definitely something special." So yeah, it was really, really cool.
Yeah, very nice. And we notice also that a lot of the people who were in the film, they kind of, they become subjects in this new medium, which is immersive VR. And we talk a little bit about, for average creators, they want to kind of capture a moment in these videos. So, how easy was it for you to do this using this technology, and how easy was it also to manage the workflows? You mentioned a little bit about it, but I wanted to see like how easy was it for you to capture what you wanted to do with virtual reality filming?
So one of the things with shooting VR or just any kind of shoot, there's like always this conversation of, what camera system do you use? Because you want to be able to catch moments, especially if you're doing these kind of run and gun shoots where we're doing several locations and you have 20 kids on bikes popping wheelies everywhere. And you just want to make sure you catch that moment. And there's like, you have your cinema cameras that take like, 45 seconds to boot up, and, you need a focus puller and this whole system, or you can have like these like what the Canon C300 is famous for, is just being like a perfect run and gun camera that has all the ergonomics and is ready to shoot, and you're going to catch that moment. And I feel like the Canon system, the Canon stereo system really has that ability, and it made it really easy for us to just be on set and make sure we caught all the moments that we wanted to. Like there was, if we needed to catch something, we'd show up, put the camera on sticks, hit record, and we would get the shot. And that's something like that Canon is known for, definitely. And they definitely kept with that with the Canon EOS VR system.
Right. Yeah. And for you, like you mentioned that you did shooting of different kinds of filmmaking related to like stunting that they did in This Is Bike Life and other things. Do you have in your mind some other kinds of subjects that this camera is really well suited for?
I think this camera is fantastic for, I mean, it definitely can do everything. We've been doing a lot of camera tests and comparing it to other systems, and it like really shines, like surprisingly, it's a surprisingly good camera system. For the price point, you always think like, oh, more money is better, but with this camera system, it like does really, really well. Something that it does really well, I think, is live events and sports. It's fantastic for that. Because you got that 60 frames per second. You can shoot in 8K. It does, concerts. The size of the body, the size of your system is so small that you can really just put the camera anywhere and rig it in different places. So yeah, I mean, we're looking at using this for pretty much everything. It just has great color science, which is what Canon is known for. It's incredibly sharp, and yeah, I mean, honestly, you can use it for everything. It's fantastic for run and gun situations. Uh, But yeah, right now we're looking at using it for a lot of live like concerts, just different sporting events, things like that.
On a more personal note for you, like filmmaking in 2022, like looking at your career, looking at the things that you've produced, looking at the types of mediums that you like to experiment with. Where do you see filmmaking going, and what kinds of things do you feel maybe either passionate about in the future for ideas like for
Hmm.
filmmaking, or is there something that you're looking forward to, I guess, over the next few years in the filmmaking industry?
Definitely. Well, with VR in particular, this is the promise that we were given. This is like what we were promised many, many years ago of this like immersive VR experience. And for a long time, it was like, yeah, it was cool. It was like GoPros and stuff, but like the people kind of looked blurry. You didn't have like the fidelity that you wanted. You didn't have the frame rate that you wanted. You couldn't have like, it would just make things a lot more difficult. And we're finally now getting there with these like, with like the Canon 8K 60 camera, we can achieve that immersion that we always wanted. And there's just so much like I'm really excited about all the XR stuff happening now and how much more like or like AR stuff or just virtual production and how we can incorporate that with VR, how we can build like a 360 environment by using either like LED panels or green screen. And we're exploring just different ways that we can make that like just increase the I don't want to keep saying immersion, because that's such a term in VR, but yeah, just make it funner. Really, it's like we just want to make it funner, more immersive. I think there's a lot. I mean, there's so much work to be done in VR to make it. There's so many interesting things that you can do, and it's just starting to get there as the technology gets there. We're now able to, like, I think, make it a lot more interesting. I think just like, for example, just I think filmmaking, like narrative in VR is something that has a lot of work to be done in. I think it could be a lot better, and I'm really excited about working more in that field. I think just making sports, for example, more immersive. I think that's a really interesting field, and there's just so much like crossover with VR and mocap and just different things that we've been like working on to like make it, to have cool ways of just, having replays that give you more, and just like, mixing the whole, mixing all the different technologies to give people a more interesting experience, to give them a little more than you would get from staring at a TV screen, basically. Like to bring people to an event, to put people in somebody else's shoes, like that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's that connection to the subject that we get when
Yeah.
we're in a film or we're watching a movie, we're suspended in disbelief and we're just like, oh, we can feel
Right.
what the character feels. Now, with immersive filmmaking, we have another layer of that we can add to that. So yeah,
Yeah,
anything.
it's another layer, but it's like a different layer. I think that there's like a whole new language that we're developing with VR, whereas like before you could do like, extreme close-ups and just different camera moves and dolly moves and this kind of thing. With VR, there's like a different way to achieve that. Like we're just working at figuring out how, and we're like slowly getting there. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think it's not as developed as 100 years of, of cinema, but it's really exciting because, I feel like every month we're like figuring out something new that we can do that makes it really cool.
Absolutely. And yeah,
Yeah.
is there anything else that you wanted to add or chat about regarding it against the industry or?
Industry wise, man, I mean, there's a lot, but I feel like we kind of covered the basics. I mean, there's so
Yeah,
much stuff with VR and like industry. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, off the top of my head, like right now, just because I just got off of a union shoot. We need to get VR in the union because it makes it really difficult to be working with union people and that don't know VR, and just like the compromises that get made on set, to put it politely, sometimes makes it very difficult to get to do what you want to do on set. But That's a total sideline. But yeah,
Occasionally
I
topic for
think
another day.
it's just really exciting. I don't know. I'm just, it's really cool to see that with like this whole metaverse thing, there's new excitement. I feel like like probably since 2018, there was like a little bit of a lull in VR, and I feel like it's coming back now with the whole metaverse thing. But I think, yes, it's creating these like spaces for VR to be viewed, and the renewed interest in it is just really exciting.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. It's an honor and a pleasure to actually be able to speak to you. And I'm wishing you all the
Awesome.
best in the future.
Cool. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Great, great. So once again, this has been Alan Bucaria, Immersive Lead Director and Producer for This Is Bike Life, veteran filmmaker, and working also with the XR technologies in filmmaking as well. And we've been talking a little bit about the Canon EOS VR system that he used to shoot that film, and all the great things that it can do. It's really changing up everything in the industry. So once again, my name is Alan Cureton, Senior Journalist for XR Today. If you'd like to follow more of our conversations like this, please join us at the XR News hashtag on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Thanks again for joining us, everyone. Have a great day and all the best.